Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys an update to my Danger Batteryman deck profile. I'm really excited to bring this one to you guys because this is one of my favorite decks when I'm going to like a jank tournament or something like that. Like whenever me and my buddies like sort of have like a band like the top 3 tier decks for the format, and we just play around with like our fun decks. This is always one of my favorite ones to bring, just because this is just a really cool one. You get to do like cool OTK pushes where you just blast your opponent out of the game, out of nowhere. You have cool stuff that you can do like Gaga Cowboy just to like close out the game for funny purposes, or just lock them out of being able to play at all by going into Photon Strike Bouncer after you take out most of their life points. We'll get into all of that as we go along, but if you guys do enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And let's get on into this. So we did have a recent ban list update to where we got Danger Tsuchinoko and the rabbit back, Jackalope, sorry, back to 2 copies. So that is why I am bringing you guys this update. So for those of you guys who don't know how this deck works, basically you're trying to use the battery or the dangers to be able to get some bodies on the field, be able to draw through your deck, and like use stuff like Danger Bigfoot to blow out your opponent's monsters and back row and stuff. And then you go in with like Battery 9-volt and or Charger to build a board and OTK your opponent. So with the 9-volt, when this guy is special summoned, you're able to just search for another Batteryman from your deck to your hand, and then also his attack is doubled for the turn. Then during your end phase, you have to destroy this card, but generally he's just not going to be on the board during your end phase. Then we're going on into our 3 copies of Batteryman Charger. This card is like the most important monster of the deck, because what this card does is that when this card is normal summoned, you're able to special summon 1 Batteryman from the deck except for another Charger. And then also this card gains extra 300 extra attack and defense for every thunder monster that you control. So generally what you're doing is you get a danger on the field, you tribute it for Charger, Charger specials 9-volt, and then 9-volt is able to search you for a copy of Batteryman Fuel Cell. And if you basically get Charger, 9-volt, 1 fuel cell, and then you special summon another fuel cell from your hand, then that is going to be like well over 8,000 damage. So it's just really cool how this deck can just do a ton of damage. Or you just get the 1 fuel cell that you search from your 9-volt, and then you're able to special summon this guy, and you'll probably have a danger on like another danger on the field anyways, and like having like 1,800 attack off of a Mothman or something is still going to be enough to clean up the game. But anyways, fuel cell, when this card is in your hand and you control 2 or more Batteryman monsters, you're able to special summon this guy directly from your hand, which is just really cool. And then also he's able to destroy one or tribute one of your Batterymans that's on the field, and then bounce one of your opponent's cards back to their hand. So this card is really nice for just being able to attack your opponent for 2,100 damage, and or you're able to just be able to like clear out their board, do a little bit of spot removal. Then we're going to be going on into 2 copies of Batteryman Solar, only playing 2 copies of this, just because this is one of the guys that like you're okay with normal summoning him, or if you get him into the graveyard and special summon him back from the graveyard, that also works. But what this guy does is that he basically Foolish Burials a Batteryman from your deck to grave when he's normal or special summoned, and he also has an effect that gets you a token in the field, which doesn't come up too often, so we're just going to go gloss over that. But again, this guy, not super duper important. But then getting on into the dangers, very, very cool. We're playing 3 copies of Nessie. I'm not going to go over these guys too much because you guys probably know what they do, but basically just a really nice solid draw engine for the deck. So 3 copies of Nessie, 3 copies of Mothman, just because Mothman is a really nice 4 to go into. So we do have 2 rank 4s in the extra deck, so this card is really nice. It does help your opponent draw sometimes because of his discard effect. If he gets discarded, your opponent, you and your opponent draw a card, and then you discard one. But still, this card just really helps you to be able to draw through your deck. Either way, you know that when you have a Mothman in your hand, you're going to be able to like draw a card, which is just really, really good. Then getting on into those level 3s we were talking about before, we have our 2 copies of Tsuchinoko and our 2 copies of Jackalope. These cards, really nice just having these back at 2 copies each, just because they like guarantee you to always get a monster on your field after they get revealed, or after they get discarded rather. So just really nice. And then for our last 2 of for the dangers, we're playing 2 copies of Danger Bigfoot. I love playing these cards in the one Alta art, and this card just got an alt art in Rarity Collection 3 Bonanza, so that's really cool. Love that this card got the alt art, not in the gold rare form. That's what I was trying to say. Then we're playing the 1 copy of Thunderbird just to be able to blow up back row. 1 copy of Danger Dogman. This is one of the ones who just like doesn't see that much play, but still it's nice to play it in this deck, because if your opponent has an established board and you pitch Mothman out of your hand, then you're able to decrease the attack of all of your opponent's monsters by 1,000. So very nice. Like you can just get all of your opponent's monsters down to like, let's say like 2,000 attack or less, and then just wipe the board over them. And then for our last danger, we're playing 1 copy of Chupacabra. This card is really solid now that we're playing a ton of names. Now that our Jackalope and Tsuchinoko came back to 2, that means that we're playing just like a really big danger package. Then for the spells, we are playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. There are some really important spell cards that we always want to make sure that we get to. This is a very monster-heavy deck. We're probably already at like 25, almost 30 monsters. But definitely some of the spells are like where a lot of the power comes in on the deck. So we're playing 2 copies of Thrust. We're trying to go second with this deck anyways, so your opponent should have monsters on the board, and then that's going to allow you to be able to use Thrust after they use a monster effect, search for whatever you need. And one of our best cards is 1 copy of Small World. This is a card that I considered boosting up to 2 or maybe even 3 copies, but I really wanted to make sure that I was getting enough of my dangers and I had my other options for my other spells that I want to search. But essentially, Small World is your really great toolbox to be able to get to Charger. Like I said, Charger's kind of the heart and soul of the deck, and if Charger gets hand-trapped, or if you just don't get to him at all, then your deck just isn't going to function the way that it's supposed to. Basically, like I said, you're supposed to use the dangers to draw through the deck and try to like wipe out your opponent's board. And there will also be some link monsters that also help to facilitate that, trying to like link away to go into Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with your dangers, but you specifically need Charger to be able to go for that big OTK push. So this is kind of like the choke point of the deck. So essentially, you can use Small World, revealing, like, let's just say that you have Danger Nessie in your hand. With Small World, you reveal that. That is going to add, reveal Danger Mothman from your deck. They share just the one thing in common, that they are both dark attributes. And then Danger Mothman connecting to Charger, because they are both 1800 attack. There are probably other lines in the deck, but this is just the one that I wanted to focus on, because we play both of these at 3 ofs, along with like Nessie. So like there's just a lot of really great ways that you can get in from Charger, Mothman, and then any of the darks in the deck. Mothman, the only one that like doesn't bridge with Mothman is like your Chupacabra, because that one is also level 4. So just in general, Small World, really great toolbox. So basically, like with the 2 Thrust, 1 Small World, and then our 3 Chargers, it basically feels like we're playing 6 Chargers, which is really good. And then again, we're playing all the draw cards to be able to like get to those 6 cards a little bit easier. Then for some 1-ofs, we're playing 1 copy, sorry, of Triple Tactics Talent. Just if we're using Thrust, might as well use Talent to try to draw 2 cards. 1 copy of Pot of Desires, just playing these draw cards as 1-ofs, because they're hard ones per turns on their activations, so you might as well only play 1 of each of them, because we're trying to sift through the deck as efficiently as possible. For some cards for helping to extend, we have 2 copies of Battery Charger. This just lets you pay 500 life points and then special summon a Batteryman from grave. So if we have especially a really nice little thing that you can do, got to find them now. If you have your Batteryman Solar in the graveyard, you can use Battery Charger to special Solar back, and then Solar can like pitch one of your other guys to grave. Or just if you are lucky enough to have a danger, 9 Volt goes to grave, use Battery Charger, bring 9 Volt back from the grave. 9-volt then searches for your charger, and then you can just tribute something on the field, special charger, and then tribute summon for charger. Charger will then probably just search fuel cell, and then you're going to be sitting pretty there. So overall, just having a battery charger as like an extra way to extend is nice. And then 1 copy of Monster Reborn. It's just the generic version of battery charger. 1 copy of Double Summon. This is just, again, there's a lot of weird one-ofs in here, but it's a nice card to be able to search off of your Triple Tactics Thrust, because essentially what you can do is double summon. Again, this is where solar kind of comes in. You can solar, pitch 9-volt to grave, battery charger, bring 9-volt back, 9-volt, search for your charger, use double summon to be able to summon out that charger, stuff like that. So double summon does come up a little bit, but if you want to sort of change things around, you guys can totally do that. Play around with the ratios the way that you want. 1 copy of Short Circuit. This is just a board wipe if you have 3 Batterymans on the field. 1 copy of Change of Heart. 1 copy of Snatch Steal, 1 copy of Instant Fusion, which is just really nice for helping us to break boards and get an extra body, and then 1 copy of Called by the Grave for the 40 card main deck. Now let's get on into the extra deck. One other thing that I do want to say about really quickly, I am playing cards like Change of Heart in here. So if you guys have seen my previous builds, I did finally cut Monarch Stormforth, if you noticed. This card is not searchable by Thrust. And also, just like now that we have Change of Heart and Snatch Steal back in the game, it just seemed like this was the right time to like put this card out. This was sort of like the version that we were legally allowed to play with while these cards were banned, but now that they're back at 1, Monarch Stormforth is a little bit antiquated now. And then also we did cut the Industrial Strength. It just didn't seem like Industrial Strength was working anymore for the deck, because you're just trying to get into those dangers and then try to go for that OTK push with your charger. So it just seemed like now was the time to get rid of that Industrial Strength. But getting on into the extra, finally, we are playing 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy. Like I said, there's just a lot of really fun stuff you can do with this deck. It's kind of a silly one, but if you're going for the OTK push and you get like Mothman, 9-volt, and like maybe Charger and stuff, and then like maybe one other of the dangers or something, you're maybe going to be a little bit short on damage. So then you just take your 9-volt and your Mothman, put them into Gaga Cowboy, and then maybe that 800 damage is all you need to do to finish off your opponent. If your opponent does make you go first, Baguska is a really nice option to be able to just sort of stun up the board. Or if, again, you're trying to go for that OTK push, it doesn't happen, but you still break your opponent's board on turn 2, turn 1, whatever you want to say, then you can still just go into Baguska and then stall some things out. And your opponent's probably going to be pretty low on resources, and then like Baguska is just going to help you kind of control the board state for a turn. Then we have Photon Strike Bouncer. This is basically your Gaga Cowboy, but for your 6s. And he's really actually pretty easy to go into. Again, if you go into that OTK line, but it just doesn't fully happen, it's very easy if you get into the OTK line to, you have 1 fuel cell already in hand, and then your 9-volt is going to search you for your 2nd fuel cell, special summon both of them, attack your opponent, do a lot of damage, and then overlay them in on your Strike Bouncer. And now, if your opponent is like around 1,000 life points or less, they're just like not going to feel comfortable, or even be able to like activate any monster effects. You're just going to essentially lock them out of the game, which just feels really, really good. Then for our Instant Fusion, we are playing our Millenniumize and our Thousand-Eyes Restrict. They sort of have their own purposes, but Thousand-Eyes Restrict specifically is just very, very nice just to be able to special summon, steal one of your opponent's monsters, and then tribute this later on for your Batteryman Charger or whatever you need to tribute for. Really, really solid card. Then we're playing the 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, just because then you can actually end up stealing 2 cards. 1 copy of IP Masquerena, or 1 copy of SP Little Knight. Then, since we're playing a bunch of Lights and Darks, we might as well play the Lila and the Dark. Then we're playing 1 copy of Moon of the Closed Heaven. Like I said, we're also playing Underworld Goddess, so this just works phenomenally. Basically, it came up a bunch in testing where I was consistently getting like 3 dangers out onto the field and then Charger in hand. So what you can essentially do if your opponent has like a monster in one of these zones, you just use Moon of the Closed Heaven to target that opponent's monster, claim that you want to link it away. And then if you have like that last danger monster, you link 2 of the danger monsters, go into this, 1 other danger monster on your field, target your opponent's monster, and then they have a second monster on the field. You use those 4 monsters, and then you go into Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and boom, now you still have 1 monster on your board. Your opponent's board is wiped, and then you could even tribute Underworld Goddess to go into Charger, finish off your OTK combo right there. It's just really, really cool. Then we have 1 copy of Geonator Transverser, just really similar to like these cards, and then also our Relinquished Anima. Just another really cool way to like steal your opponent's stuff and swap the board around. Then we're playing 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, and for our rank 4 option, 1 copy of Boral Sword Dragon. It's an OTK deck, so you want to have him as like another big body option, just to be able to close out the game. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Really fun to update this deck. Very, very cool. I did not really play around with any of like the Thunder Dragon options, but if you guys want to see something that's like Thunder Dragon Batteryman, we can definitely do that in the near future. So let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about this one. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Please try out this deck out if you guys go to like a Jank or a Scrub League tournament. I think it'd be really, really fun. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.